Hi folks, my name is Connor and this is my first video. I'm going to be reviewing some action figures for you today, and we're going to go ahead and start with the 12-inch DC Universe Classics Green Lantern Hal Jordan figure. Let's get started. Here is the 12-inch Green Lantern Hal Jordan action figure. It obviously captures the likeness of Green Lantern, of Hal Jordan, really well. This is a suit for Hal Jordan that we've never seen on any regular 6-inch DC Universe Classics Hal Jordan figure, nor on any Green Lantern figure, period, I don't believe. Because this is a non-shiny Hal Jordan figure with no trunks. This is his modern suit, pretty much. They've changed it slightly since, but this is his modern suit, and I think they did a really, really good job with this. And I'm happy to get this suit, albeit in 12-inch scale. I think this looks like a really great figure. If we just take a close-up look at the head sculpt of this figure, I'm just going to move my camera real quick so you can see it. So there is the head sculpt for the figure. I really like this. The hair has all sorts of highlights. You can see there all sorts of gorgeous highlights. Some black in there and some darker brown mixed in with that light brown that you see for most of his hair. That mask is perfectly detailed, wonderfully detailed. And of course, this is kind of just a regular DC Universe Classics head, except in the 12-inch scale, so it's much larger. The other thing that I did just want to note, this is a lighter green that they've chosen to go with for this character. And I'll just pull out one of my other 6-inch DC Universe Classics. You can both get a height comparison here and a color comparison for that green. So pretty much, you know, the white is pretty much the same. I think the white on the 12-inch figure might be a little more muted than the white on the 6-inch figure. I don't know how well my camera's picking it up, but I think that might be the case. And you can see that the green on the 6-inch figure is much darker. And I actually prefer this more vibrant green that's kind of akin to the DC Essentials Green Lantern color that they chose for the green on his suit. I also want to compare the symbols. I don't think that we ever got a 6-inch DC Universe Classics Green Lantern with this symbol. This is kind of his modern symbol. We got many with this symbol and a couple with various other symbols, but none with this kind of very, very modern symbol. So there's that symbol, right? And then I'll compare it to the symbol on this 6-inch figure. You can see that that's very, very different. Let's go ahead and get a close-up at one of the most important parts of the figure, as always, is Power Ring. So there is his lovely little power ring. And you can see that there's lots of detail in this power ring. It's molded all the way across his finger, and they have that Green Lantern symbol sculpted on there very nicely. So there you have it there. And you can see he comes with one closed hand for this ring, and then he comes with one open hand. Now, unfortunately, unlike the regular DC Universe Classics figures, this guy does not come with a charger, a power battery, whatever you want to call it. Let's move him back so you can actually see him again. One other thing I'll point out is that the muscles on his chest are very, very defined, and I really like that they've added that detail, that kind of shading there, and so are the ones on his back. And that's really, really great. This is a very muscular figure, which I happen to like. Let's go ahead and observe some of the articulation really quickly. So we can go ahead and see, we'll just start at the legs and work our way up. He can turn right at the knee there. There we have it. He can turn up at the thigh, up where the groin meets the leg. He can turn at the waist. He has elbow, an elbow joint right there. He has a shoulder turn, 360 shoulder turn. Same thing for the right arm. And he can turn his neck 360 degrees. That's the articulation for the figure. Much more minimal than the DC Universe Classics figure. And I'm sure we're all familiar with the DC Universe Classics figure articulation. Probably the part where, it's most lacking is here in the wrist, because he looks a lot worse. I don't know if you can see it there, but he looks a lot worse. I mean, he looks fine still, but he doesn't look nearly as good when he has his ring hand turned like that. It doesn't look like he's about to fire a blast. Whereas my regular DC Universe Classics guy, who's seen better days, but he's still a good figure, because he's the DC Universe Classics Green Lantern, and I love this figure, he can turn his wrist so that it actually looks like he's firing a blast. I think perhaps that's the worst shortcoming of this 12-inch DCUC figure. But I'm still happy with my purchase of the figure. I really like the figure, and I think you will too. I would give this figure probably a 4.5 out of 5 stars. I like to tell you how many stars out of 5 I would give a certain figure at the end of each video, just so you kind of have an idea and we can compare really easily my ratings of various figures, my reviews of various figures. So, and I think that for 4.5 stars comes primarily from his lack of articulation. Of course, he's missing articulation in other places too. I'm glad they incorporated that waist swivel. They easily could have left that out. That's one that I always like to have in a figure. So this is a really good figure. I really do recommend it. It does get a little pricey these days since it came out a long time ago, and it's a very good figure. But I really recommend it. I will just do a quick comparison of this figure to other Green Lantern figures, just to a couple here. So first I'll give you a DC Essentials. There's a DC Essentials. Obviously, he goes up to about his waist on him. He's about half as tall. And this is, of course, a DC Direct Green Lantern figure. Not the best Green Lantern figure, but you can kind of get a height comparison there. Easily posable next to your other Green Lantern figures. And by the way, these tones between the DC Essentials, I mentioned it earlier, but the tones between the DC Essentials and the 12-inch DCUC Green Lantern figure really, really match wonderfully. So I highly recommend that. Thanks for watching, guys. I really do appreciate it. Subscribe or hit that like button and sign off in the comments below. I'll try to read those and respond. Look for another review coming very soon of another figure that I recently acquired. Thank you. Bye now.